Hey everybody, it's Felisa, and today is an entry into murder, mystery, and mayhem. Anyway, today's story is on a mass murderer that you probably have never heard of. His name was John Gilbert Graham, and he was born in 1932 in Colorado. When he was about 5, his father passed away, and it left his mom, Daisy, destitute, which is just a fancy word for like super broke. So broke that Jack wound up in an orphanage. Why they called him Jack, I have no idea. His name was John. But whatevs. Anyway, so Jack wound up in an orphanage for the next 6 years. When he was about 11, Daisy snagged herself a rich rancher. I know, right? She hurried up and went to get her baby boy. And when he came home, all the stories said that he was not a content child, which in my opinion just means that he was a badass kid. So bad that he was causing all kinds of mischief. He was not a problem student in terms of his grades, like he got really good grades, but his behavior, oh my God. Daisy didn't know what to do. She was beside herself. And when he was about 16, he lied about his age and ran away and joined the Coast Guard. Well, the Coast Guard caught wind of this and was like, I'm sorry, yeah, go home. This is going to be a no for us. So that was after about 9 months. So he went back to Colorado, where he promptly began to get into trouble, and more trouble. So much trouble that he wound up stealing about $4,200 and making his way down to Texas to become a bootlegger. Because as you do. Anyway, so he gets down to Texas. He continues to get into trouble. He is charged criminally and he is incarcerated. Daisy is just beyond like, what am I going to do with you, boy? But, being the dutiful mother and probably suffering from a lot of guilt because she had to put him in an orphanage for so long, she pays like $2,500 for him in restitution, and she promises that Jack is going to pay the rest. So he makes his way back to Colorado, where lo and behold, Daisy thinks, oh my God, maybe jail did something good for him. Like he came home, he cleaned up, he got a job, he married a woman named Gloria, had 2 kids, he was doing good. Daisy was like, okay now. Well, after a few years, Daisy lost her husband, but instead of being destitute, this time she was sitting on a pretty penny. And so she bought a house for Jack. Even though the title was in Jack's name, she did have a room there. She lived with them and the kids, and she was very happy. She also invested in several businesses, one of which was a restaurant. And she put Jack, God only knows why, over these businesses and particularly this restaurant. Well, Jack couldn't make the registers balance. Like he was always coming up short and he was always broke. So Daisy's like, dog, like what you doing with the money? Like where is it? How in the world can you not balance a register? So she and Jack were getting into it like big time. And he was getting on her nerves and she was getting on his. So around October of 1955, she decides that she's going to go and visit her other daughter or her daughter in Alaska. She said that she was going to go for the holiday, so therefore she was Christmas shopping and she had all these gifts that she was going to take to them and stay a while, right? So Gloria, Jack, and the kids all pile into the car with Daisy and they take her to the airport. While at the airport, Jack saunters over to a vending machine, child, and it gets like several life insurance policies on Daisy. All total, they were like $87,000. That's not suspicious. Anyway, so Daisy is apparently like making jokes as she's signing them. God only knows what she said. Something like, oh, I guess you're going to really just kill me now, right? Yeah, that's that's kind of sad actually. Anyway, so Daisy does sign these life insurance policies, and when she was trying to load her luggage, it was found that the luggage was too heavy. So the person that was checking her in was like, hey, we could just ship these ahead and, won't cost so much. And Jack was adamant that these luggage pieces were going to go with her to Alaska. Again, that's not suspicious at all. So they get it on the plane. They pay whatever the extra freight is. Daisy just says her goodbyes, all her hugs, kisses. I'll see you guys later. And she boards the plane. No sooner had the plane taken off that it exploded. And it killed all 44 people on board, including Daisy. Well, when the FBI started to do the investigation into the wreckage, they noticed that everyone's luggage was accounted for except for Daisy's. And where Daisy's had been sitting was a giant hole. So that was probably a clue. They also found Daisy's handbag, and inside her handbag were newspaper clippings of Jack every time he made the news and all of his various trouble. And I'm guessing that she was taking them up to Alaska so that she could tell his sister about all the trouble that her brother was getting into and how he was working his mama's nerves, because that's a very mama thing to do. Yep, very mama thing to do. Anyway, so the FBI has enough information, so they go knock on Jack's door, and Jack is all, I didn't do nothing at first. Eventually, they did secure a search warrant. They go in the house and they find wire that is commonly used to create bombs. And he also had gift wrapped packages that were on the workbench. So he never loaded those suitcases with the packages. He replaced them with explosives and kept the presents. Just a douchebag. Anyway, he also admitted that he was an apprentice at an electrician, so he could figure out how to make the bomb, and that's how he knew how to make it. Of course, he was arrested, he was tried, he was convicted, and he was sentenced to death. And upon execution, when they were asking for his last words, he pretty much just said, if I get an email after now, just address it to hell. Yeah. Anyway, that is the story of John Gilbert Graham, a mass murderer that you have probably never heard of, who literally blew up his mother along with 43 other innocent people for $87,000. Talk to y'all later.